5 days or more for whatever reason. Whether you lost it or you just stopped using it, or maybe it even broke, whatever. Just get back on MTN by recharging and get 2,000% on your first recharge of every month. And if you've lost your SIM, no wahala. Just visit any MTN center, retrieve your line, recharge, and 2,000% is yours. And that means if you load 100 naira, you get 2,000 naira. Load 200 naira and get 4,000 naira. And then if you load 500 naira, you get 10,000 naira. Isn't that incredible? Well, don't waste time now. Get back on MTN right now and know what it truly feels like to be welcomed back. Remember, terms and conditions apply.
The Smooth Breakfast presents the headlines, the stories, the news. Headlines. Read all about it. In-depth analysis of national current affairs. Freshly pressed on Smooth 90.
A very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us inside of Freshly Pressed, where we analyze in detail the headlines hitting our newspapers this morning, actually. In the studio with us is Adedunmade. Good morning, Adedunmade.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, guys.
Good morning to you. And Orji Uka. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well. Good to see you. All right, so Lagos, you can join us on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth981fm and Lagos. Of course, if you type Smooth FM Lagos, you'll find us right there. If you type in the search box, that is. On Twitter, the hashtag is freshlypressed981. And our WhatsApp number is going to be tweeted on our handle, on the Twitter handle at Smooth91FM. Please go there to find the link to the YouTube if you can't find it on YouTube, or if you're on YouTube, of course you can type it in there. Plus, this program is brought to you by MTN.
Yes, indeed. And also, speaking of Twitter, Orji can be found at Orji Uka on Twitter, and also Ademudade at Adedunmade. I had that spelling correct, right?
First time.
All right, nice.
All right, let's start very quickly. The first story is from the Vanguard newspaper. So apparently, President announced yesterday to uproar loud, ovations at the NEC meeting of the APC. Well, he announced that he's going to run, for presidency in 2019. It did not come as a surprise to many Nigerians. According to this story, a resolution of the president's aspiration, however, came with fresh uncertainty on the future of the party. A committee led by Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State had been constitutional upon President Buhari's observations that an extension of tenure of the party's executives was illegal. The NEC of APC recommended that the party go ahead to conduct congresses, and if that is not possible, they can now fall back to tenure elongation as opposed by the president initially. According to the party's constitution, any 7 officer, that's another point that was touched in that story as well, any 7 officer who now intends to run for re-election would have to resign his position within 30 days before the election starts. Adedunmade, let's get into this.
Well, I'm going to start with the last statement you made about the 30-day resignation before the election starts, and I want to state that the president has also said that such officers should be granted a waiver of that position, being that it might be impracticable for them to actually let go or to actually resign pending the 30-day period. However, the president's speech about contesting for 2019 is not new. I don't think there's anyone who thought that he wouldn't, and it's not so much as a surprise because, hey, really, when we think of it, there's no president in the history of Nigeria that has said he's not going to run for a second term. They all say, oh, I'm going to run for just one term, but when they get there, they always say the same thing. After a while, consultations and listening to the yearnings of the people, have decided to run for a second term. They all say that, so this is the same thing. But however, aside from the applause he received at the NEC meeting, I want to bring to the fore the not so much applause we received at the stock market immediately he made his declaration.
Yeah, it dropped.
Yeah, which just shows that the money bags do not think that he's running is a good decision for Nigeria. So
does it come as a surprise to you?
No, actually, because in Nigeria, a year before elections is always a very funny period in the stock market and also in the business circles generally, because of the uncertainty that always goes with Nigerian elections. People are not sure what's going to happen. People are not sure there's going to be violence. So everybody is just careful with their money. I think that Nigeria, that is one thing we really need to check, where there is stability and where people can be sure that, okay, no matter what happens, there's going to be peace and continuity of government. But that never happens in Nigeria, because the next guy comes in and
wants to upset things and put in his own policies. He just changes the status quo.
He changes the people. He changes the contracts. You know, he just does so much, which I think is one of the reasons why we are backward, because everything in Nigeria goes for a 3-year period. If you cannot make it within that period, if the person in power does not come back to that position after the elections, then you might as well have lost all that. Then also that also resolves in court cases, because when the new guy comes in and kicks everyone out, some people will get aggrieved and go to court. So we get to spend more cash on these things at the end of the day. So, but I'm just going to run through 5 things which I feel we should judge President Buhari for.
Sorry. Just right before you start, I just want to point out though, the stock market would have dropped anyway, even with the announcement. We talked about it this morning.
The announcement did not affect it in any way?
Yeah, there were other. The market has been bearish for the last couple of weeks, and I mean, you can say, okay, it dropped 1%. Maybe if he hadn't made the announcement, could it have dropped 0.5% or 0.8? But
let me ask you one question.
There's still go ahead.
If we had a more credible person who was going to run for president, let's say for instance an Oshibajo, do you think it might have affected the stock market positively?
You just said a more credible person. Gosh. Yes. To answer your question, possibly the market, I mean, depending on circumstances again, because there were other things that happened in the market besides this, but it's possible. Yeah, it could have been positive. Yeah, it could have been.
Great. So back to the 5 things here. 1, healthcare. I remember when they were campaigning back in 2015, he was like, why should he travel abroad to receive healthcare? But we all know he did that. We all know his son did that. So that means that he has not remedied the healthcare situation he said he was going to do in Nigeria. Secondly, corruption, which is great. They've been fighting corruption on the papers. A couple of people have been jailed, but there is still corruption within its inner circle. So that shows that it's not been a total job that he has done with regards to corruption. Now, jobs and unemployment, of course, we all know that there are no jobs yet. They promised about 720,000 jobs, but I think we've gotten just about a little less than 200 so far. Power, of course, we don't have. Like exchange rate, it came in when it was 190, now it's 366. So he made so many promises that he has not yet fulfilled. So what's he going to do next?
What's it going to do next is the question. Thank you very much, Adedunmade, for that one. I'll come to you with this next story from Punch. AGF 6 stiffer sanctions against terrorist financiers in new bill. So the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami San, said on Monday yesterday that a new law that would expand the definition of terrorism and create additional sanctions against terrorists as well as their financiers was underway. And he said this on the precipice of the meeting they had with different countries. Now, Mauritania, Republic of Chad, Kenya, and Benin Republic, they're said to have participated in a 3-day event organized by the International Institute for Justice and the Rule of Law. What's the implication of this meeting, and do you see this law as revising, the current trend of terrorism in this region? And do you see that these stakeholders, people that were involved in this kind of parley, could make a difference?
Well, I do agree that the law needs to be amended somewhat, because it's a bit vague generally, especially when it talks about support for terrorism and what a terrorist act actually means. So it just gives an all-encompassing definition of when you do something that is life-threatening, that perpetrates violence to people. Those are the kind of languages and words that it uses. So yes, it needs to be expanded to include other things such as financing. Now, financing itself, according to the Act, also is just talked about in a general way. It doesn't specifically state finances. It just states that if you support them, if you train them, if you help them in any way, then there's a penalty. Now, the highest penalties in the act as it stands now is life imprisonment for anyone that carries out a terrorist act. For anyone that supports is about 20 years, and there's a 10-year jail term as well for people who aid and abet. So I want to believe that this new law is talking about is going to introduce maybe the death penalty, which is actually very shaky because Nigeria is trying to reduce.
If it does, potential terrorist financiers would actually reconsider their actions, right?
Well,
you don't think so?
Execution of the law is another thing.
Yeah.
Having the law is one thing.
Is one.
Now, proving the case in court that the person is actually that is another thing.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that come into play, but generally, more stricter provisions really need to be brought to bear. To bear. Now, with regard to death penalty, that is very shaky because the world is gradually moving away from the death penalty, but some people are still embracing it as it is. Like, for instance, now in Nigeria, we still have the death penalty, but hardly do we hear of people being executed. They just leave them in death row and forget them there, basically. So yes, the law needs to be amended. I look forward to seeing the bill and of course writing about it on the Legal Niger blog.
All right. We'll take your messages here on WhatsApp. Somebody's asking what the YouTube channel is. Just go to YouTube, type in the search box Smooth FM Lagos, and you find us there. Top of the list is with a round logo. You watch us live, all right? Because we're streaming live there now. WhatsApp number for you to communicate with us has actually been tweeted on the Twitter handle at Smooth91FM. Emma from Akoka says the president's declaration to officially run in 2019 did not come as a surprise to anyone. Let us see how the electorate reacts at the ballot. That's a good one, Emma. Thank you very much. This one says Samuel from Lekki. 2 times in 2017, President Buhari he's wanted to abscond from office. Yesterday, he said his decision to run was due to the clamor by Nigerians who asked him to run in 2019. To me, it shows he has no plans. He was even reported to have said that APC manifesto were not his promises. We have this other one here. So, okay, all right, same message from Samuel. Instead, this one says from Prince, instead of the so-called elite and then to enlighten, to promote the candidates and all their candidates, they're busy saying Buhari should not contest. It is the ballots that counts, not English. All right, move on now. The next story is from ThisDay. Adedunmade, we still have this story together. Okay, actually, we'll move to Orji. Spare you the detail. The headline says, after Senate rumble, presidency says Buhari yet to authorize $1 billion withdrawal from the excess crude account. Last week, everybody was going crazy with the amounts, including myself and a few of us, because we got reports from different sources saying the president had approved this amount, to fight terrorism and insurgency in the northeast. It so happens that was false, so that was misleading at the time, and we apologize on behalf of the other media sources who actually. I
think you need to apologize. This is what they said.
Because the thing is, now when we get this report, how do you confirm the right source?
Who is a better source other than the Minister of Defense?
The Minister of Defense was said to have come out with this statement after the meeting he had with the president.
Yes.
But the president did not expressly make that announcement.
The president did not speak himself. If a minister appointed by the president speaks, the president, look, executive power vests in the president. He can exercise such powers himself or through his vice president or ministers of government.
But would you say
mentioned in the constitution?
Would you say that the minister's statements overrides the president's instructions, or if the minister now comes out to say, okay, yeah, this is what
why we're sugarcoating it. Under President Buhari's administration, there's been a glaring lack of legal knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. This is not the first time they would come out and make a statement. For example, in the early days of the administration, they made some appointments, not knowing that those appointments required approval of National Assembly. It was after they had made the gaffe, people talked about it. They now came out and said, okay, this appointment is still subject to the approval of National Assembly.
I'm sorry, Adedunmade asked you this question earlier before we went on air, and I said, could this be as a reaction, because it seems like a retraction of information?
Definitely.
We first heard that they announced that the $1 billion has approved to fight insurgency,
yes.
And they're coming out to say, no, the president will not do this. Presidency actually come out to say, no, he would actually follow due process. He'll consult with the Minister of Defense, Service Chiefs, and Inspector General of Police, which is actually the way to go. And then I asked you specifically, I said, do you think they are retracting this information based on the reactions of the populace?
Yes, Assembly. So you see, why our own is worse than that of the US? In the US, what happens is that President Trump alone comes out and issues statements that are baseless, and then he will now see his aides and other officers running around trying to his ministers, the issue statements not having a legal basis circumstances to make certain expenditure, but this is not one of them. So his minister has come out to say, Mr. President, who is at least justifiable or not, having defeated Boko Haram technically is a different thing.
So the media sources that carried the story, they carried exactly what the Minister of Defense said.
Yeah, so it is now Senator Eta Enan, who is the President's
Special advisor
to the National Assembly, to the National Assembly, who's come out to say actually what he's trying to say is that we're still going to do with National Assembly.
Reserves hit a 5-year high, $47.3 billion as of April 5. What is the indication
for reserves a number of times? This is not my field. Finance has not been my thing. But it's a good thing. Okay, so when our foreign reserves were depleted, we knew how it affected our economy. But this time around, because it's increasing, and someone said yesterday on Twitter after, of course, seeing the president's declaration, the declaration by the president has elicited a lot of
there's a lot of responses.
Yes.
One of the things that someone said positive in
foreign reserve.
I now have to ask at this point. See, what's the benefit of having foreign and domestic debts at maybe 5 to 10 years?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Imports, being able to handle imports.
With Buhari's re-election is dramatic. We're not that scientific yet. We are data-driven to claim such a connection. Also, we are too forgetful as a people. Why I have reservations about this government? If we extrapolate, probably have a reasonable government.
Actually, it said data stricken, so we lack data. Yep.
Says, who are these people?
Yeah. Two lawyers were about to earn 6 billion naira from the $321 million that was coming back to Nigeria from the Abacha, and it seemed to raise a lot of eyebrows, especially because there was another lawyer, that is Mr. Mancini, or is it Manfrini?
Enrico Monfrini.
Yes,
that's him. Yeah.
Enrico, who had been involved with the looted funds since 1999, and he stated that he has been paid since then, and also that they had finished what I would say work on the transfer since 2014, but the money was domiciled with the Swiss government, and apparently all that was needed was just a government-to-government exchange in order for the money to be brought down to Nigeria. Now we don't know why these two new lawyers were actually instructed. We don't know what role they played. So it's going to be a bit difficult to just judge and say, okay, they didn't deserve the money. Well, and also we don't know if they did not play any role at all, and they're just trying to get the money out of the government one way or another. But because I am a lawyer, I know that 6 billion, wow, that would have been like
That's you have set for life with that kind of money.
Kind of.
You're done.
But apparently, I think we need to ask more questions onto the role of these lawyers. What did they do, and why do they deserve to be paid so much? Now, there's also saying about this strong worded letter Adeosun wrote to the president, but we don't have a copy of that letter or what it contains for us to know what our strong position was. We just know that she blocked the money. She doesn't want the money to be paid, and let's see if there's going to be like a negotiation, if the amount that is going to be paid to these lawyers is going to be reduced, or if they're not going to be paid at all. But it's something interesting to look out for generally.
Biggie here says, can we be free to say that strong cabals have taken over this government? Since the government can speak for him, come 2019, our patriotic votes will vote him out. He should be ready. As Biggie's comments, Biggie, make sure you get your PVC and then we can speak with that. This one has no name, so we won't take it. Sonny Mike says, the army chief set up an investigation on General Danjuma's comments. I was quite disappointed with the condemnation Danjuma received from the analyst in the studio yesterday. I have family members who are senior military personnel who clearly confirmed the Danjuma's claim. I feel as press we should have represented it in such a better way. All right, we will look into that. This one says, is from Azu. This government is completely clueless and lacks the knowledge on how to run things, and it's very sad. So thanks for your message. Please keep them coming. Our YouTube handle is youtube.com/smooth91fm.
All right, cool. And just real quick, that was Missy Ritty that was talking about Danjuma's comments yesterday. Neither Valentine nor myself condemned anything that he said. All right, just okay, good. Okay, analyst. Okay, fine. All right, let's move on. Punch. INEC boss expresses fears over rigging through technology. As the 2019 general elections draw closer, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has expressed fears over the increasing incidence of election meddling through the use of technology in many countries. Yakubu therefore said there was the need for African countries to tackle it in order to protect democracy. Do you gentlemen share in this fear of technology being used to rig elections? Orji?
If you had no fears with what happened in the US with Facebook and
Cambridge Analytica,
Russia, you would be afraid. So if a country like US can be at risk, then who are we?
Besides, just recently we found out that some sympathizers or empathizers of Buhari at the time championed a cause with Cambridge Analytica against them.
His opponents, you mean?
The opponents. Opponents, yeah, supporters of Jonathan.
Orji, real quick though, I do want to clarify something. Cambridge Analytica and that whole thing is about influencing people and trying to skew their votes. I'm thinking he's talking about the actual act of voting, rigging it via technology. So I just want to make sure that okay, let's make sure. All right.
I'm just saying that if that was possible in the US, then you cannot.
Oh, right here. Okay, fine.
There's a case in court right now about the NBA elections that took place. Actually, the elections were electronic. We voted from our different houses or offices, maybe on Saturday. So one of the grounds of the objection is that the elections were rigged. It's still in court, it hasn't been resolved. I'm not saying that these are things that are come to stay. But the INEC boss is right where he says that technology has come to stay. It has its risk, but what INEC has as a responsibility is to deploy technology one way or the other to ensure that whatever he now mentions those ways, for example, establishment of robust electronic databases, accreditation of voters, actual voting, and saying ways that they can be ready. And that's the point he's trying to make. We know that technology has its own risk, just like it has its benefits.
Right.
We as a body would also ensure that we get ready to tackle those possible challenges that we face.
All right.
Let's take a few comments here on Twitter. Obenwe Olu says, everyone keeps complaining that Buhari is too old to contest. I do not have issues with that. My anger is that we have young men like Sowore, Duke, Dorotoye, Garba, Chris, etc. vying for presidential slots, but nobody's talking about them. Nigerians just want to like to blow grammar. Okonkwo Samuel says, President Buhari said he was asked to run in 2019. Does that mean he was not planning to run? I hope he has a strategy to convince us to vote for him again.
All right. Vanguard here. Orji, are you from Anambra State? Where are you from?
Yeah, my best.
Okay, I'll be all right. Well, let's say
we've been on oil presidency for
From the Vanguard, federal government confirms Anambra status as oil producing state. Orji, your thoughts?
Yeah. It's taking too much time. There was that conflict between Anambra and Kogi State, which appears to be happening resolved now. So that's a good thing. What is even bigger in the story is the fact that the federal government has decided to establish modular refineries in 11 oil producing states.
10 modular refineries across.
10 in
across 11 states.
How that's going to work. And they say that would include the employment of 10,000 youths from all the oil producing states, which is a good thing. We've been saying that they should make up their mind. Do you want modular refineries, or do you agree to destroy the so-called illegal refineries? We've been going back and forth, but it appears now that they've taken it.
And I like how they included the traditional rulers and how cooperative they are in making sure that they are carried along. But I don't know how the politics plays.
No comment on that.
Final story from The Punch. Drama as bribe-seeking SARS men keep Lagos businessman in the toilet. Apparently, Mr. Emmanuel Ibe Anyanwu created a sensation calling for help from his Facebook account, Facebook Live, by the way, while in a toilet of a bank branch in Ago Palace Way, Okota, Lagos. He says some SARS officials, this is according to him, were trying to extort money from him. So he used Facebook Live to call for help. Technology.
What I'm just going to say is that I'm glad that the officers got caught.
Yeah.
Well, they've not really been caught, but they said they've been identified.
Yeah.
And
they're going to face trial.
When they get arrested, we don't know when that's going to be. But one thing I know for sure, which is my opinion, dear police, please note that, is that I think the Nigerian police, is a profit-making business entity. Because many Nigerians know that when you go to a police station, you're asked to pay for something. Sometimes subtly, sometimes not so subtly. So, and I don't believe that there's any money that comes from Abuja to every police station that helps them handle their general day-to-day runnings, because they have to forward the generators, they have to forward their cars, and they have to do so much. There's no money that comes from the top. So where do they get the money to do those things? Now, if we don't settle this issue once and for all, then let's just move forward and know that, okay, police is in it for the money, and let's know that, okay, we're here to buy justice and security, because we are tired of complaining about SARS. We've said end SARS, we've said everything, but what I just like about the story is that the person called and there was actually a response, and personnel from the X squad were discharged to go and
apprehend
arrest.
those
Yeah.
people.
So please, if you have any such issues, please report to the police complaint unit. You don't know, some might actually come and save you.
That's
Nice.
cool. Thank you very much. We have a quick message here from Kajuk. He says, going by the administration's antecedents, Madam Minister strongly worded letter to her boss will not stop the payments. We'll discuss the story in the near future, I'm very sure. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth901fm.
Orji Uka on Twitter and Adedunmade on Twitter as well. So follow the both of them. Yes, I'm trying.
Coming up next, Lagos is Grapevine at 8:15. Thank you.
You had fun. She really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you too.
Yes.